And welcome back to Little Cuts, our weekly mini-sode where we dig into the things that we've been watching recently. I'm Terry.
And I'm Mary Beth. And this week we are talking a unique pregnancy horror, a fucked up exorcism movie, a remake of a 10-year-old movie, Terry's childhood on screen, and a new show that Netflix will invariably cancel. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I was just thinking, what if, because we've been watching some influencer horrors, and what if we started, all of our shows yo, what's up? It's your boy, T-Dog. I have watched too many
I have to
influencer
go.
horror movies.
It's over. Actually. This is the end.
Don't forget to hit that like, ding, hit subscribe, and hit the bell so you get notified when we are here for you. Or something. I don't know. I can't do it. That was exhausting, just that 2 seconds.
That was amazing. I'm going to save that forever.
Oh, God.
I want to watch that whenever I'm sad.
We should put that up on TikTok.
We should. Before we start talking about our movies, as off the top, it is the first full week of April. That means that we have Seltzer for Life out for all of our patrons, $1 and up, which is the funny little show we do once a month where we try seltzers. So that is up for all patrons. And next Wednesday, we will have our new Fresh Wounds episode up with a new series that we have started. Terry, would you like to share with everyone what we are covering on Fresh Wounds for the next couple of months?
We are talking about Les Problématiques, new French extremity movie, High Tension by Alexander Aja.
Yay!
And it's a 2-hour-long conversation. Just shy of 2 hours.
Just shy, yeah. I have to edit that. And that's going to start our kind of bit of a deep dive into New French Extremity for the next few months. So if there are any other films in the New French Extremity that you would like us to cover, you should let us know on Twitter or on Patreon. You should be a patron so you can listen to these episodes. If you are a $10 and up subscriber, you get those episodes in your feed once a month. So join. Wanted to plug this before we talk about everything.
Yeah, and we decided to start with a movie that I think more people have probably seen for New French Extremity, because I'm relative newbie to a lot of what we're going to probably see and talk about. So it just seemed like a good place to kind of start, as a lot of people have seen it. A lot of people know it's problematic.
Yeah. It's the most well-known one, and I also give a little bit of an intro to New French Extremity at the beginning. So if you are not as familiar with it, there's a little bit of an intro at the beginning for you. So new to New French Extremity or not, check it out. And on that note, let's talk about the movies that we've been watching.
Yes, which I want to hear about this pregnancy horror.
Okay, so I was covering the Overlook Film Festival virtually over the weekend because I just fucking love watching a million movies a weekend until my eyes bleed out of my face.
Got Panic Fest coming up. Speaking of which.
I don't want to talk about it. Anyway.
I love your shirt, by the way.
Thank you. I am obsessed with it. I just got it. And I interviewed Rachel Weisz today, and I wore this because it's a woman-directed horror movie. So I felt like it was appropriate. What was I saying? Okay, so I was covering films for the Overlook Film Festival, and one of the films I watched that I really liked it's called Clock. It's coming out on Hulu on April 28th, but it had its world premiere at the Overlook Film Festival, and it's by this new director, Alexis Jacknow, and it stars Diana Agron from Shiva Baby. She's the wife in Shiva Baby. She stars in it as this woman, Ella. She's 37, and she doesn't have any kids, and she doesn't want kids. And it's this really incredible look at a woman who identifies, like a cis woman who doesn't want to have kids, and, willingly is telling people, I just don't want kids. I don't have maternal instincts. And she's getting the barrage of, you're going to want kids, you'll regret it, blah, blah, blah. And then, pressure from her dad, because she's Jewish, and the bloodline, Jewish families are matriarchy, so everything is passed through the female bloodline, so she needs to get pregnant to carry on the family legacy, and she just doesn't have that drive to be a mother, and so she is like, she goes, I must be broken, so I'm going to go to this experimental treatment that is supposed to fix your biological clock and make you want to have babies. And as a person who is very much a person who does not want children, I love this movie because it very much captures the like, societal pressures that you receive and like the barrage of comments that you get and what it means to be a cis woman or like, as a person who doesn't want kids when it's like it's your biological imperative to want kids. So you then what happens when that like when that's how that like what is this movie is basically manifesting that like what that self-loathing looks like and what you could do if you could fix that self-loathing, but then the isolate it's just like it's not perfect because a lot of these like more supernatural elements towards the end are like a little bit shoehorned, but I love it because it's a take on pregnancy horror. Like it's following that like the Hosera footsteps a little bit, where it's like a new take on pregnancy horror, where it's not just like women are pregnant and they're like having a hard time with it, or like body horror. This is a little bit of body horror. There's some really fucked up imagery in it, but I think it's like a really poignant piece about what it means to exist in the world as a married woman who like very much does not want children, and like what that can manifest as that pressure just keeps building. And I really really liked it. It's coming out on Hulu soon, so everyone can see it.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I've not heard of this before until just now. So, but I'm sold. Give me more stuff directed by women about.
yeah, there's an incredible scene where she's at a baby shower and people are like, you're gonna like, what do you do with all your time? And it's in a montage of her like her husband going down on her getting massages, her going out to nice dinners and going out on vacations. Like the most like it's wild because like you never see that, but like it was a like a very literal showing of like literally look at how awesome my life is without kids. Like I am not regret, and like it's just you don't see that a lot, and it's just really refreshing to see that because like I feel the same way. I'm like, this is all the shit I'm doing without kids, and like I'm fine. So yeah, it's one of those movies that was it was part of the bite size Halloween, the Halloween stuff where they had like a bunch of shorts. They commissioned people to make shorts. Like Matriarch came from that too. So this is another one of the adaptations of the shorts into features. So like it's like a little bit of something that like might get kind of dumped on Hulu, but I hope people watch it because it's really good, especially for like being one of those like probably pretty low budget movies that they're making. So it's really good.
I'm excited. And you said that's coming out the end of April, right?
Yep.
Sweet. Soon.
Yeah, soon. So,
Yeah.
what is this remake of a 10-year-old movie?
So this is one that we both have seen, and I think that there can be a case being made of saying why remake Last Shift, which came out in 2014, I think.
It did,
is
yes.
when it came out.
Yeah.
And here we have the director going back to his material to remake it with MALUM. And I wasn't really sure what to expect. I have seen Last Shift, but it's been a while, and I actually kind of wanted to watch Last Shift again to sort of see how this remake compares, because I don't remember Last Shift being as big in terms of like external to the police station.
There was a lot less context. So I liked Last Shift, but like I remember just kind of being like, I just thought it was like not enough. I think I wanted more like context, and that's exactly what MALUM is. And so I really liked kind of what they did to fill in the gaps and kind of refocus the movie. I think, pardon me, to me that made it more successful. And I also haven't watched Last Shift for a while, so like. Again, I might be misremembering, but I just feel like MALUM did more for me than Last Shift did when I initially watched it.
That's kind of what I was thinking too. I mean, the premise is still the same for those that haven't seen either. There's a newly decommissioned police station where a rookie police officer is getting her first night on duty. In this station, her father used to be a police officer in the station, and then decided to go on a murderous spree one night, and they've moved it to this other new police station, and they're slowly transitioning from there. And so she's kind of doing the graveyard shift at this place, but also trying to figure out why her dad did what he did. And I will say that I do think there are some subtle, and I'm going to use that very strongly, subtle critiques of the police force in here that I think that if you're not like paying attention to, you might just kind of coast over it. But I think there's some really smart things that they've done here with kind of post Black Lives Matter type things with the corruption in the police force, as well as taking on this kind of cult idea. Again, it's very subtle. It's not kind of the purpose of this movie, but there are some interesting things that have happened in the intervening 10 years since that original one came out that kind of make this a little bit more made it a little bit more interesting to me. There's some really good practical effects and gore.
The gore is way better in this one, I think. It's way grosser and it's way scarier, I think. There's a lot of really good jump scares. And the music is really good too. The score is incredible. It's by the guy who did the Outlast score.
I will say that one of the things, some of the acting was a little circumspect in this, and there was one line that just killed me because all the cops are wearing nameplates, and she shows up, and it's like 5 minutes into a conversation that the dude realizes that she is her father's daughter, and I'm like, name is literally right here, right here. And I'm like,
it's fine.
Okay.
It's
that moment just really jumped out at me. I was like,
fine.
It's right there.
Yeah, I liked it. I remember it definitely freaked me out more than the first one, and I think they filled out more of the stuff with the cult plot. And there again, like you said, there's some really cool monster effects too. So it's worth a watch when it comes out on digital, or if it's in a theater, definitely check it out. It's a good, like, just good gross movie.
A fucked up exorcism is blah blah blah. A fucked up exorcism movie, which I know the title because you tweeted about it, and I really want to hear more about this.
Yeah, so I tweeted about how Australian directors are sickos, and it was because I just watched another movie from Overlook Film Festival. This is Godless, the Eastfield Exorcism, which is coming out soon I don't know where yet, but it's coming out like to VOD soon. But
Okay.
This is an Australian film from director Nick Kozakis. He hasn't done a lot of stuff, but it's based on a true story. There was that movie we watched that was like, it wasn't like a documentary, but it was with a woman in Australia who died during an exorcism. Do you remember what I'm talking? Do you remember that? I forgot her name. Janet, I think, something like that. Belief, the possession of Janet Moses.
Yes.
So this is inspired by the Janet Moses story. So like, let's just set the scene for you there. But this woman essentially is having like a psychotic breaks essentially, and her husband refuses to believe her mental health care professional that she's schizophrenic, and is like, she's got the devil in her, and takes her to his fundamentalist church and hires an unlicensed exorcist, and they kidnap her and lock her in a shed and perform an exorcism. And it lasts an hour. So the first 30 minutes are setting up the context, and then the last hour is her getting the shit kicked out of her and getting an exorcism. And when I tell you that my fucking stomach was in my asshole for an hour, it was the most stressful shit I have ever seen. Look, I don't know what else to tell you. It's provocative. It gets the people going. You guys understand what I mean when I say that incredibly disgusting metaphor. Yeah, it's a lot. It's really good, but it's fucked up. Australians really know how to make a movie that makes you feel empty afterward.
I don't know what to say about that.
It's a really refreshing take on the exorcism movie.
Okay.
Like, I know that you do not like exorcism. Like, it's not.
I do not.
It's not like your typical possession movie whatsoever. it's like really sympathetic towards her and when she has these like hallucinations, but it it's never fully a possession movie, if you know what I mean. Like it doesn't
I
go,
do.
yeah. That is Godless, the Eastfield Exorcism. That's coming out soon, and so the movie that made Mary Beth's stomach go into her asshole.
That on the poster, like for serious.
I'm a poet. What can I say? It's where they pay me the big bucks. Any fucking way. Your childhood on screen?
Yes, we went to go see Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among
Oh fuck
Thieves
yeah!
this weekend, and I had a huge smile on my face the entire time we were watching this movie.
Fun.
Yeah, and Kate says so much fun we went to. It was so much fun. I loved listen, I love fantasy. I love fantasy so much. And I've seen the original Dungeons and Dragons movie, and it was a painful experience for me. And this movie is what that movie wanted to be. It has a very self-contained story, so it's not like about giant armies marching or anything like that. It is about a band of thieves that end up getting caught while trying to steal an artifact, and we have like evil sorceresses and Hugh Grant being a lovable scamp who is not very lovable by the end of the movie, but is
Lovable scamp. Sorry.
just having so much fun with that role. It is ultimately about, Chris Pine's character trying to right the wrongs and free his daughter and all this kind of stuff, but it's very contained. There's a little bit of in jokes. Like I feel like there's some really relatively deeper cuts with the creatures that are sort of show up. Are isn't like you don't need to know Dungeons and Dragons to enjoy
Yeah.
them, but there are little bits of monsters where it's like, oh, that's a gelatinous cube, or oh, that's a displacer beast, or oh, that is a black dragon, which is important because it is spitting acid instead of fire. Like, there's all these little tiny bits of things that nerd me that had the monstrous manual and would just like read it as if it was like a storybook. Like, this was my childhood up on the screen, and it was a great time. I wish it was queer. I wanted a little bit more because I don't believe any of the characters in it are queer. There was a moment where I thought maybe, but they never really explored that. So I'm like, I wanted that. But other than that, this was a lot of fun. Michelle Rodriguez kicking ass. Sophia Lillis as a tiefling. I'm here for it. It was great. I want them to continue making these movies because it was a lot of fun.
Fuck yeah. I realized that I went in the wrong order because I don't have anywhere to talk about, so you have to go again. What's this new show on Netflix? I don't know how to read.
So this new show on Netflix. So I should have put the order a little different anyway, but whatever.
Whatever.
This new show on Netflix. So there is this creator. His name is Victor Fresco, and he has created a lot of shows. I take that back. He has created two really big shows that I really enjoyed that got canceled before their prime. The
Uh-huh.
first one being Better Off Ted,
Okay.
which I think is a hilarious workplace comedy. And then also the Santa Clarita Diet, also on
Oh,
Netflix, that
yeah.
got canceled after 3 seasons.
Yeah.
This is the guy that he wrote on Andy Richter Controls the Universe. He created a show called Life on a Stick. He wrote on My Name is Earl. Like, he's done a lot of kind of absurdist, surreal-esque type comedy. And his new show that just premiered on Netflix is called Unstable. And it actually reminds me of Better Off Ted in a lot of ways. It's co-created by Rob Lowe and his son John Lowe,
Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Okay.
where Rob Lowe is plays this biotech CEO that is very eccentric, very playful, very like that kind of idea of like, is he a madman or is he a genius kind of trope. But he's also incredibly kind and nice to his people. So it's not like a typical egocentrist creator that is, unapproachable. He is a little too approachable, and that is part of his problem. He goes off on tangents a whole lot and does things for the fun of it. Unfortunately, his wife passed away recently. He is spiraling from that. He hasn't really talked to his son, who also went to school to be an engineer and then gave it up to be a flautist. And so there's like a little bit of a disconnect between the father and the son, because the father really wishes the boy would work at his biotech lab. And one of the people at the biotech lab brings the son in because dad is spiraling. The board might want to try to take the company away from him. Let's try to get them on board. And there's a lot of character tropes that I think, I feel like this is a direct continuation from Better Off Ted, that this could be in the same universe. Like Better Off Ted had a pair of scientists that were sort of like kooky and eccentric and fun. This one has the woman equivalent to them. There is Portia de Rossi was in Better Off Ted and played this incredibly out of touch manager, and we have a similar kind of character here. So it feels like he is attempting to maybe bring some of that Better Off Ted energy that got canceled after 2 seasons to here, and unfortunately he's bringing it to Netflix, a place that is probably going to cancel the show. But it's funny. It's really fun. Rob Lowe is incredible in it. He's just bringing so much energy.
I've heard the ads on podcasts and stuff, so, or like I've seen it, or not on podcasts. I've seen it on Peacock when I watch my trash television, and it looks good. So okay, that is exciting to hear because I was interested in it. So having that feedback is good to know.
In the very first episode, there's this little nugget of a plot where the company had hired a therapist to help him work through his issues, and the therapist has disappeared. And it turns out that Rob Lowe's character has been keeping him locked up in his basement, as kidnapped him, and it's played by Fred Armisen. And they have created a friendship between the two of them after he's been kidnapped and living in this place, and he doesn't want to leave once
Missy
he
who?
lets him go. Missy?
Misty from Yellow Jackets when she.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Damn it. Never mind.
I just was sorry I did not go there with you.
No,
I
it's
apologize.
okay. I tried.
But yeah, so it's a lot of fun. It's silly. It's absurd. And I think fans of Better Off Ted will find a lot to love here.
Cool.
So
Fuck yeah.
Unstable. Go check it out before Netflix cancels it and takes it off their streaming site.
Well,
Shade.
That is shade. So I just want to do a little teaser for next week because I've been watching a lot of movies and things that like are embargoed until next week. So just to give you guys a teaser, so you listen next week, I will be talking about Beau is Afraid, the new Ari Aster movie, and Dead Ringers, the new Cronenberg adaptation for Amazon, and also Evil Dead Rise. So, guys, just a teaser for next week. It'll be lots of good shit. But that does it for this week's episode. Terry, who are we talking to on Monday about your favorite movie?
This is what I love about this podcast. We just had an episode drop on The Elephant Man, and it was a very high-class episode digging into that David Lynch film. And now this coming week, we are chatting with Gabriel, oh my gosh,
I got it. I can do it. Gabriel Beer Gislason.
thank you, because you said his name and I didn't, his last name, and I can't. The writer-director of the kind of queer Jewish horror comedy film Attachment that is currently on VOD. I think it's on Shudder, right?
It is
I
on
believe.
Shudder. It is on Shudder.
So we talked to him about that, and then he brought with him raspberries. We've got no raspberries. Dracula fucking dead and fucking loving it. I never thought in a million years we would have a guest coming on the show to talk about my favorite Mel Brooks movie, but here we are.
It is like the cutest conversation because Gabriel was like, I didn't know if you guys were gonna like think I was a weirdo for bringing this. I'm like, oh no, this is Terry's all-time favorite fucking movie, and it was just like a lot of quoting the movie, and it was very wholesome and sweet because he has a really sweet story about how he got introduced to it. So yeah, it's a really fun episode. Definitely in contrast with Michelle's, but that's why we love this show. We get wild mood swings of recordings. So, yay.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I love that. It was such a good conversation. And then what are we kind of doing for little cuts next week, Mary Beth?
So we've been kind of, we're taking Patreon suggestions about what we should cover, just as we kind of get our footing about what movies we should do next. And Tony Kaufman really wants Terry to see Savage Land, the found footage movie. So we are going to be talking about Savage Land.
There we go. It's as easy as that.
So if you have anything that you want us to watch, let us know on Twitter. Or you know what you can do? Here, we're going to transition right into the fucking outro. Look at that smooth shit. So if you have any suggestions for things that you want us to cover, we are taking listener suggestions. You can send us an email at scarredforlifepodcast@gmail.com. You can comment it on Patreon, or you can let us know on Twitter. I am on there at MB McAndrews.
And I'm McGailey Dreadful.
Or you can DM the podcast on Twitter at Scarred Podcast, or tweet at us, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, and please don't forget to review, rate, and subscribe. Thank you to our patrons that are making this possible to help defray costs and support us. So make sure that if you haven't yet, that you watch Seltzer, which should be up by the time this episode is up.
Yep.
And also next week we have Your Fresh Wounds. So, and you can also be watching us and see the kind of weird shirts and see Jeff Goldblum sort of poking his eyes up off the bottom of the screen. That's what we got for you. So, thank you.
Thank you to Eric Power for our artwork. Thank you to Sean Keller for our music. Thank you everyone for listening. Please stay safe out there, but most importantly, stay creepy.
And until next time.